Hello beautiful, welcome back to Wwkl. I am here with a new workout for you for your lunch break. This one isn't going to require too much, but just make sure you have some equipment nearby. We're going to use a 20-pound weight and a 5-pound weight, both same. This is going to be all about that core and that lower body, using that bench primarily. Let's get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. First up, we have our elevated crunches. What I want you to do is keep the weight, that 20-pound ideally, within the area that we kind of be crunching in. So between your core and then the fold of your legs. As you're doing that, this can either be done on the mat or on a beam, or technically on a bench. And by doing this movement, we're working into that core. I want you to keep those shoulders pressed back throughout. We're gonna do about 3 rounds of this. So this was round 1. What I want you to do in between is take a quick stretch, making sure we're not crunching in that spine and that back. Now, we're doing the same thing again. If you want to elevate it, we're going to press each leg out. So single leg rotations, just going from right to left, holding that weight in your hands, but still keeping those shoulders pressed back. If you prefer, you can stick to that up-down motion we were doing before, crunch them in. Whatever feels best, it's just going to keep working into that core. All right, one more variation for you if you'd like. This one's gonna be a little bit different. We're still pressing out, but this time we're holding the weight up. So we're laying back, whether it's on that mat or on that bench, and just pressing all the way down. So we have 3 options there. If you wanted to change each one, that's completely fine too. All gonna be working the same area within the core. For our next move, what we're gonna be doing is a sit-stand squat. So standing up first, we're holding that weight, we're gonna squat it, then we're gonna fully come down, go all the way back and come right back up. So giving you a little variation, we're working into our squat, but then we're also really working into the thighs. So when we're pressing down, making sure we're keeping everything long and lifted. That torso is staying up, so we're not curving over towards our knees, but we're also not breaking our back and bending our spine to a C. We're gonna keep doing that motion a few rounds here, but really pressing down, trying not to go into that squat on the bench. Hovering right above is really gonna help out there. All right, we got a new move here. This can either be done flat on the ground, or if you want to add this extra layer of intensity, then on a bench. Be very careful. We're still holding that 20-pound weight, but what we're gonna do is go single legs. We're raising towards the back. I call it a hinge lift. I don't know if it really is. I guess it kind of is, but I want you to make sure we're holding that weight in our hand. That's gonna be what supports us. The other anchoring point is that right leg, and then from there, we're switching. So this side, we're now doing it on the left. So that left is the anchor, weight is in both hands, and then we're going back with that leg. Because I'm on the bench, it's a little bit tricky to balance. If you're doing this on the ground, maybe going on a block will help with some of that elevation, but it's also gonna help get into the hamstrings and the back of the booty. So now we're gonna be transitioning into our next move. What I want you to do if you have that bench is come down. We're gonna have both knees on, and we're making sure we're at that 90-degree tabletop. We're gonna do some leg crosses. So what that's gonna look like is the one leg goes all the way to the other side as if you're going on a diagonal axis. And I want you to really focus on keeping the waist in line. So notice I'm really holding in my core. I'm not wobbling around with my hips. If I do, I'm trying to bring it back to center, so maybe that means bringing my leg lower, keeping it in a more controlled range, opposed to going all the way out and all the way over. From here, we're gonna go into our leg pulls with arabesque. So what that's gonna look like is going straight back with one leg. We're gonna do about 8 pulses here. And then after that, we're gonna bend that knee, going into our arabesque. We're keeping that leg with the knee out towards the mirror or towards the side. So really working into the outer part of the hamstrings and the glutes. You're keeping the upper body completely still, same idea as before. And we're gonna do a few more of these. Finally, we're gonna go back to those pulses and switch our leg. As far as our counts here, we're gonna be doing 4 slow, full pulses. So once we switch over to that leg, you'll see here 2, 3, and 4. Then we're gonna speed it up. We're gonna do 16 at this faster pace. So keeping it above that 90-degree line, we're just gonna pulse and pulse. Hips are staying squared, which means they're towards the ground. Hips aren't turning out either. So if you feel like you're kind of lopsided, bring it back in. Now we're gonna go into our arabesque. We got about 12 here. So just going full down and full up. It should feel tense as you're doing this motion, especially on the way back up. I want you to take it slow and keep it controlled.
Then you stop calling. I'm not used to hearing the sound of silence. Your lips have been silent. When did you get filled with doubt?
Going into our next move, this one's a little bit crazy, so let's just do it. We're gonna do some hip dips. We're holding onto that bench going side to side. Now this also can be done on the mat. Again, the whole idea with this workout is either bench, mat, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Yes, I did just snap as well. So we're gonna go out and in, out and in. And I want you to keep that motion, controlling the upper body, and we're gonna stretch it out really quick and then get right back into it. So I wanna make sure that we're not overloading with the tension. We're gonna keep doing that same thing. Now, if you wanna switch and get a little bit more into the legs, this is gonna be an extended variation of that. So less of a dip, but more of that arabesque movement. So going fully up and fully down. If you're on the ground for this, you also can do it. One knee is gonna be on the ground, the other one is gonna be coming up, almost like a donkey kick. Switching over to the other side is the exact same idea. So we're gonna keep it going, staying controlled. From here, we're gonna be going into our benchless movements. So working a little bit more with that Bosu ball. We're gonna make sure it's flat. We're stepping up and we're gonna go side to side. So almost like a shuffle. We're going out and in, out and in. Holding that weight is just, for me, a little bit more centering. So if that feels good for you, by all means. Otherwise, you can drop it down so it's a little bit lower, keeping those shoulders back, or you don't have to use the weight at all. We're gonna restart the same idea, and this is what it looks like without that weight. So it gives you a little bit more bounce and a little bit more airtime, so to say. But if you feel better having that control, we can do that. One other thing I'm adding here is some squats. So I'm going over, 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 squat, down, down. So as you see here, this is still that squat. But really working into this, if you're wanting to use this workout for beyond 15 minutes, extend each of these moves and you'll get about 30 minutes to an hour's worth as well. So repeating again, giving you that flow, over, in, and then we bring it right back to those squats. quick stretch here. I want you to make sure we're feeling good. We're gonna fold over to stretch that lower body and also the arms in the back. So really just working into the back there, making sure we get a nice fold and we're feeling a lot of that release in the back. From here, we're gonna meet on the ground, so sitting on that Bosu ball, otherwise on the mat flat. From here, we're gonna do some light thrusts. So I'm gonna come down onto the ball. From there, what I'm gonna do is basically make sure that my hands are pressed onto the side. So really working into the ball. And then from there, we're coming up and down. So not gonna be laying completely flat, but really guiding with our booty. I want you to think of curving into the knee and then back in towards the hip. And that's gonna give you that motion where it's controlled. You're able to balance that weight that we have on as well. If it feels like too much, ditch the weight, but otherwise we're just going all the way up, hold it, and all the way down. Awesome job with those thrusts. Now we're gonna go into our next movement and really be focusing into our plank. So we're gonna come towards the back. Hands are gonna be on the ball. You may feel like maybe you need to go more towards the side. I try to keep it quite in the middle just so that way I'm balanced. And we're gonna do the same thing like we did earlier, those side to sides. What it looks like on the Bosu ball this time is really having that intensity in that plank position. So before we had our arms extended out, this time we're gonna have them with the elbows primarily on the ball. From here, we're gonna do our modified push-ups. So we're gonna pull out with the arm, fold it under, bring it back out and in. Then we push down and up. So it's a little variation here. This reminds me of some of the workout classes that I've been to in the past. So definitely an inspired move. We're going back into the other arm this time, all the way out, folding under into that threaded needle, out and back down. And then we go into that push-up again. So thinking of a 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously it's a little bit slower than that, but that's the kind of rhythm that you want to be keeping for this movement. I also forgot to note, this is going to be with the lighter weight. If you're at the point where you can use that 20 pound or that advanced weight, go for it. Me personally, it's going to be a 5. Okay, at this point, we should be on fire. We are so close to the end though. So we're gonna go back onto that beam. What I want you to do, we're gonna have our side plank, but we're laying down. So resting on the side, kicking our leg up. You can add that Pilates ring if you'd like. That's really just for a little bit of additional bonus, restraint, etc. Just going into that side, making sure that there's about a triangle beneath your arm from your torso. Now, if you want to progress this, I'm going to be doing some push-outs. So bringing it on in and then pressing all the way out, really adding that tension, keeping it slow. If not, we can just keep going with those fold in, out, in, out, in. All right, switching sides here. So we're doing the exact same thing, but this time we're gonna be resting on the opposite side. whether that was left or right for you, doesn't matter, but really getting into the exact same movement. So this time you'll notice, first thing, I focus on my arm, pressing that out. The second thing is aligning my body, so making sure it's a straight line towards the side. And then from there, we're kicking up and down. I also just shifted a little bit, so if you're not completely at a halfway point off the bar beam, then shift over a little bit, and that way you'll feel even more work going in that core. This is our last move, so I really want you to feel it here. Give it all you got. We're pushing, and again, this is during that break. This is that short form workout, so I'm so proud of you for pushing through at what could be an inconvenient time. So we're gonna finish off strong here, and just like that, we are done. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm super excited to be sharing some more content. Until then, keep being you and keep being well.